Okay, so first I just want to run through, there's like a couple of different websites. Some of them are paid, some of them are free that you can actually utilize to create mockups for you. Some of them don't work as well. Some of them, it still feels like something's lacking. And others, you only get like the background, and then you don't necessarily always want the background. So it's definitely a personal preference, but you can play around and find something that works for you. I typically use either only Canva or one of these platforms in combination with Canva. So I really use it as is, but obviously you are welcome to do whatever you like. So this one is Place It. It's a website by Invato Elements, which is also a great subscription if you want to get into design and find like different things, but that's a song for another day. So Place It by Invato, it's just a mockup generator. So you can like see, you can find mockups in everything: gift bags, t-shirts, apparel, all types of different screens, print on demand, and promotional stuff like billboards and things. But for the most part, us online entrepreneurs will use anything under digital. So that is your screens and your devices. And then you can usually filter them. I'm not sure if this one has the free filter. What frustrates me about these is sometimes you get excited and you see, let's say you like this one and you want to use it, and then you edit it and you go on, and then when you want to download it, it just asks you to subscribe. And so that's a little bit frustrating, which I know Place It is one of those. You can have a free account, but it is quite limited. And then like if you want to do something more, then you need to pay for it, which I don't love. I really like Smart Mockups. It works very easily, and I could almost always find under the free mockups something that I want to use. And then Smart Mockups also works in combination with Canva. So you can actually use Smart Mockups inside of Canva, which I will show you guys under the app section in a minute. And then these are just a few others. This is Media Modifier. Again, they all basically do the exact same thing. They give you a device or a book or a t-shirt or whatever. You drag your design in and it creates the mockup for you and you download it. So here's another one, Mockup Bro, which is a new one I haven't played around with yet. It looked really interesting. I think it's very aesthetic. So if that's your like vibe, then I think this one is a great one to try and play around with. I really liked like the multiple screens if you maybe have an app or something like that you want to mock up. And so those are just a couple. I mean, you can just type into Google mockup generator and you will find a ton of different websites that you can go to and play around with. So inside of Canva, if you go to the app section, you will actually see, and I'm just going to type into search. I don't think it's like right here. You can type into search Smart Mockups. And, oh, yeah, spelled wrong. Let's just put smart. Okay, no, it's not here. There it is. It came up under recommended. So under mockups. So what's great about Canva is they are continually expanding. And I think their whole goal is to become like an all-in-one platform, which I really love because I like things to be easy and just, I want to do everything in one space and move on to the next thing. I don't really like playing around on different platforms. So you can just go to the apps and type in mockups and you will find quite a few different ones. You will find like the little frames, that's part of the elements. And then I'll show you guys where to find the smart mockups. I see it's not over here. So if we go, let me just upload a quick image. Like, let's just use this one as an example. This is everything I want to show you guys today. So if you add a photo to your canvas, so I just added this photo and you click on edit photo. If you scroll down, you will see under apps, mockups. If this isn't here, then there should be some recommended apps and you can just say search all and you will find the little mockups tab. So this is run by Smart Mockups, which is great. This is, it's this platform over here. And so you can actually decide like what type of mockup you want. So, I mean, this is a workbook page. So I can scroll down to like either branding, maybe branding is a good one to try and see. I don't think they have print on here, but we'll see in a second. Let's just use this one as an example. So now this is the mockup that I want to use, and then you simply just drag your image over the mockup, release it, and then Canva is going to do its magic and add it in for you. So that is, sorry, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so there you can see it's like a little book mockup now, or a page mockup. Doesn't look the best with like the white frame on it, but if I click on my mockup, it brings in on the left-hand navigation this little editing screen. So I can click fill and it'll actually fill the whole page for me, which is starting to look a little bit better. And then I can decide, do I want it left aligned? Do I want it right aligned? It depends on what you want to do. Just in full disclosure, sometimes using a generator like this doesn't always give you the exact look you want. And that's why most of the times I just would rather use, I'm going to share this little template with you guys. So this is basically just all elements from Canva, but I would typically rather use one of these. And if I have a screen like that one, let's just find that one again. Okay, it's a little bit glitchy. Why are you glitching? Goodness. Okay. So let's say I drag it in there and I don't like the fact that it's cut off. I would typically just detach the image. You can then color in your background, whichever color you want. So let's maybe say we want the gold from the image. And then you can just lock your little mockup and just press lock again so that it's completely locked and not editable. And now it doesn't matter if I drag an image over it, it's not trying to grab it like the top one. It'll just stay locked. And then I can resize my actual mockup to be exactly the size I want it to be, and then start playing around with maybe adding a little bit of something and cropping it a little bit and just playing around. So definitely a lot of different ways that you can utilize creating a mockup. Okay, so what I want to run through is just a couple of examples of mockups that we've done for clients, and then show you a few tricks that we've done. Okay, so this first one is Alicia. She's like a vegan diet trainer person. And I mean, it's very busy, but that is typically her brand. It's loud, it's in your face, it's like these neon colors, and it's super fun. And so just a couple of things we did. Obviously, we have the screens that are overlaid, and then we have like workbooks that are overlaid and ebooks and things. We have her products, which she's like a MLM consultant. So she has some products that she's selling. And then we just took her logo and made it super transparent so that it almost looks like a little stamp that's like stamp of approval onto the offer stack. So we just have a couple of variations for like, these would be the bonuses and that's somebody else. So just super simple, but I think really like eye-catching. And again, everything done inside of Canva. So it's super easy to do. Okay, the next one is, these guys are AQ Athletics, and they are professional athlete mindset trainers. So for this mockup, I actually used a combination of the Smart Mockups app or like outside app, not inside of Canva, where I mocked up the book screen, which you can find there just under the prints, and then also the pages. And then I imported those into Canva, removed the background, and then added some other layers to it. So we added like the little brain at the back, and then her membership site into the computer screen. And then these were like the little badges that they get as they progress through their membership. So a complete different vibe to this one, but again, all doable inside of Canva very simply. So I can show you guys in Smart Mockups. If you go to print, then you have a selection of different print mediums and technology. You obviously have different digital mediums and packaging, apparel. So you guys can play around in there. But under print, like the book, I just went to books. And then here you can toggle if you want to see only free and only isolated. So it's not, doesn't have an image in the background. And so you will see like one of these are actually like, I think it's this one. But that one doesn't seem to have a cover on it, but and it works so easily. So if we use this one as an example, it's going to tell you like you need a spine and it needs to be that size. You need a book cover and it needs to be that size, and you can upload it. And it actually gives you the option, oh, it doesn't today. Sometimes it gives me the option to actually upload from Canva. But I don't, maybe they've taken that away since I've used it last. So you just simply upload your image and it'll automatically add it into this little mockup, and you can download it. You can change some of the shadows. You can take the shadow off. You can put it on again. You can change the colors of like the book pages. And if you have a pro account, which I don't, just so that you guys can see, it's totally doable to do things on the free accounts as well. You can add your branding and change like different things like the background color, and also download it with a transparent background. If you're on the free account, unfortunately, you can't download it as a transparent background. But then what I typically would do is I upload it to Canva and I just remove the background, and then that works perfectly. The next one I want to show you guys is the Ultimate Tango. They were like a tango teacher, a team of tango teachers, and they did a summit. So this was the summit mock-up, where it had like all the different Q&As, the Facebook group, this was an ebook, I think, and some video trainings. But then what we did to make it interesting, because they have this like old Hollywood kind of vibe to their brand, we used some of the frames, and we created this little like movie scene with all of these faces are either tango students or they are speakers. So that was super fun to do. And again, really striking visually. You can imagine on a funnel, if you have a long page and you have this great little image in there, it just creates that little visual break that we need sometimes. This one is Jonathan Montoya. He's like an affiliate teacher. And what I did here is I did something cool with him, like popping out of the screen, which I'll show you guys. We just added their badges and like the course background and lessons and things. And then we mocked up his workbooks for each module. And instead of actually mocking it up as a little booklet, I just added a drop shadow, and that gave the illusion of it looking almost like a little booklet. So I'm going to show that to you guys as well. And then we have Greg. He's an Airbnb guy. On this one, I want to show you guys how we did the little video screen mock-up. And also he was offering a discount to his Airbnb. So that I'm going to show you guys how we created this little image of him, which is almost like a little sticker in the big picture. And this is actually a Canva element, which looks like a book, which you can totally use if you have a little book mock-up as well. And then we have Group Track, which their brand is so super fun. They like superhero designs. And so there are two options on this mockup. We could either download it as a little GIF, and then we'll have this lightning bolt actually move all the time. Or we could download it as a static image, and then it will actually download this just as a flat image without any movement. So what made theirs a little bit different is we could add like the little exclamation like you would find in a comic strip, and like the lightning bolt and the little boom, pow, wow type of bubble thing behind, just to give it a little bit of a visual difference. So if I actually take these away, then it's basically just exactly what I'm giving you guys over here. It's like the flat mockup. And I mean, that totally works as well. But if we add in the little elements, then it just brings that thing on brand and just gives us that little pop of something that I typically like. Okay, this one I wanted to show you guys because it was typically one that I used the smart mockups for, and I went to print and I went to magazines. So on here, you will actually see, let's see which one it was. So we had the little like flipping book, and then I had the little flat magazine. I think this was a magazine. I'm not sure now exactly, but so we had the little flip book, and you have different styles and sizes. So this would typically be like a letter size, and this one would be more like a landscape size. This one would be A4. So it would have been like either this one or maybe that one, and then the flat magazine, which I mocked up, and then I brought it over into Canva, and then I just removed the backgrounds and I overlaid them on top of each other. And I think that created a cool little mock-up that is completely different. So a really fun way to play around with your mockups. This mockup is actually a little bit different, and they are all the same, just with different images inside the computer. And what this actually was for a membership, and it was like a Netflix style. So they had a ton of different courses in categories, and this was one category which we called the tracks. And so we actually created almost like a movie poster with like the different tracks in the background, and then just mocked up the single track that they were going to click on. So again, just lots of different ideas to play around with. I mean, typically, if you are creating a funnel for a course or a single product, I don't think you always need an offer stack like this. I think we can totally get away with something simple if it suits your brand. If it'll speak to your audience to be a little bit more clean and aesthetic, then definitely try and play around with something different. And I'll show you in the smart mockups. I did a little mockup for a bonus product, completely different than what we are used to. So let's jump into this little screen over here. So this is the little movie, what do you call it? Like film strip we used for the Ultimate Tango mockup. And I just wanted to show you guys that it is just a native Canva element in here. And if I just detach that image, like that is exactly what it is. It's just a series of this exact same one that I just overlaid like this and send them to the back so that they look like they are a continual strip. And then just simply dragged and dropped the images in there, grab them all, put them in a group, and then put them over into my mockup design. So I just obviously can scale it down and do like duplicate it out and get a couple of different variations of it, and make multiple strips and do lots of different things. So if I wanted to maybe make this longer, it's as easy as just duplicating it out and sending it to the back type of thing, or to the front, sorry. Okay, so that is that one. Super easy, super simple, just sometimes takes thinking out of the box. So I just want to go to, if you go to elements and you scroll all the way down and you go to frames and you see all, here you'll find, like, here is this exact one. You'll find a lot of different frames, and just try and think a little bit outside of the box, and you will come up with cool ideas that you really like to sell your offers with. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this one because this is not actually a frame. If we go to the template that I'm going to give you guys, I actually added it in. Well, this is a different one, but almost the same, which it has like a transparent background. I don't know why this is happening. Oh, why are you doing this? Let's just find let's just use this image for now. So if I send this to the back so you guys can see, these are just blank frames. Like they're not going to grab your image. So if I'm trying to resize it to fit in here, then obviously I'll have a lot of blank space and all those things. So I just wanted to show you guys how to actually use those kinds of frames, because sometimes they are really beneficial and sometimes these are really beneficial. So these will grab your image and immediately like expand it to the width of the screen that you're trying to use, but these typically do not. So if I ungroup this, then you will see, oh man, sorry. You will see I have a literal screenshot of this membership in here, and it's actually bigger. As you can see, it's actually a little bit bigger than what I cropped it to be. So it's literally just a matter of placing it inside my screen. And so this is the size it was, like exactly like that is the size of the screenshot. And I was just placing it over my little screen and cropping it all the way until I see the white line and know, okay, great, I've made it all the way to my screen, maybe just a tad little bigger. And then I can now double click on it and move it around the way I want it to be. So if you maybe cropped it to size, but it's cutting off your header or a piece of your image that you really want to show, then you can just double click on it and play around with the cropping of the image. And then when I'm happy with the way it looks, I'm just going to position it to the back so that the laptop screen is actually overlaying the little image. Select it all and group them together, and then I have my little mock-up. So another little trick that I like to do is, and this doesn't always work, but sometimes, is you can actually just use a flat color as a background. Typically black, I think, works really well. And you can just make it black and position it to the back. And then you can actually, let's say your image was smaller than the screen, you could actually just position it like there. And I mean, it doesn't look terrible. So if we make it a little bit bigger, you guys will see like that doesn't look terrible. So just a little hack over there if you maybe feel like the frames are cutting off your images in weird ways. Okay, so the image of Jonathan where he's like popping outside of the screen, I wanted to show you guys because I think it's a cool little hack. I did it on another client as well, and they really loved it. It just brings a little bit of a dynamic vibe to your offer stack that makes it come alive a little bit. So it's just a basic phone screen, which is a Canva element, and you can find that by just typing in phone under photos. Then you will find the phone screens that are little frames with no backgrounds. Okay, so then I cropped his image. So I've already cropped the image, obviously. Cropped the image and made sure it fit inside the phone. And yep, there we go. And then I have a duplicate of the image, and I just clicked on edit photo, remove background. And so I have him without the background. So this is the size the photo was, like it was a big photo. And I just duplicated that and cropped it and made one transparent and one not transparent, and then overlaid the little phone on it to see that it all fits in, and then started to make sure that obviously my images were the same size, and just overlaying the image that doesn't have a background onto the existing image. And there we go, like that was it. So again, really simple, but gives a very cool little impact, like he's coming outside of the phone. The other one I did was for a client that is in the car business, and he's actually looks like the car is coming out of the phone. So out of the phone. So really fun, just a few little minor things that you can do to just level up your mockup. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys the little well, this was basically single images that I mocked up to look like either little workbooks, because they were like module workbooks of a couple of pages, but not full-blown books. So I have two of the actual images in here, and as you can see, they are just plain little flat images, and the only little trick was to go to edit photo, shadows right here at the bottom, and I added a little drop shadow to them. And sometimes Canva gets glitchy and it does that, so just try and go on. One thing I have found when using shadows is just wait for Canva to like save the changes until you see the little tick in the cloud here at the top. That way, you know, like sometimes when you move it around, then it does act kind of weird. And then you can actually just start overlaying your images over each other, and maybe start playing around with, like, do you want them to be straight? Do you want them to be skew? And tons of like different cool things. So his brand was black. So if you were to put it onto a black screen, obviously you will lose the complete vibe of the shadows, as you can see. So what I really like to do when I'm building the mockups is I try to think about where on my funnel am I placing them, and what color is the background. So if the background were to be this like turquoise color, I would put it onto the background while I'm building my mockup. And that way I can actually get a better idea of how it's working with the funnel that I've already built. So sometimes you need to go back to your funnel and maybe change that background color. Other times you maybe need to make some tweaks onto your mockup to see if it works. So I'm mentioning that because I can remember that I did not do this, and I had it on a black background and it just looked horrible. And so I had to update my funnel to actually be a white background when I was talking and referring to the offer stack image. So a very simple way to just mock it up and have it look like a little book. If you see that it's weird for you, like the white on white, then you can actually go to your shadow and you can start playing around with it. So you can move the angle. So now I'm moving it to be more to the left-hand side so that I can actually see the book stand out on the white background. So if I just scroll down there like that, you guys can see it. It looks a little bit better than it does when it is just flat onto the white background. So lots of editing tools that you can use in Canva and play around, and you can definitely like make it a little bit more blurry. It does change the size of the image, but don't worry too much about that. You can just resize everything. So you can make it a little bit more blurry so it stands out more, or a little bit less. Less looks more like a book to me than the blurry one. And then you can obviously change the shadow color to whatever you want it to be. Like if you wanted it to be blue, you could change it to blue or whatever that might be. Okay, so that is the little book mockup. Then I wanted to show you guys the mock-up of the little discount guy, like almost like a little sticker. And again, it's really, really simple to do. I have a circle frame. I have a circle that is exactly the same size, oopsie, as my frame. As you guys can see, it's exactly the same size. I have a little circular shadow. I have my discount circle. This is actually an image, but you can create that with text as well inside of Canva. And then I have my, oh, I made a little mistake there now. I have my images of Greg. So first off, what you're going to do is you are going to duplicate the image that you want to use. And then one of them you are actually dropping into, why don't you want to go in there? There we go. Come on, you can do it. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Okay, so one image is inside the little circle frame. And as you can see, like if the image has a transparent background, it's really hard to see. And that is what this little color circle is for. So if I overlay it exactly over the circle frame, I should actually be able to see more or less where my circle frame is going. So now I can decide like how big do I want the image to be, and I just double click on it and I make it a little bit bigger. And so let's say we want it that way. And now you'll see it's cutting off his face, which is fine. Don't worry about that now. That is what this second image is for. So I'm just going to group my little yellow image and my frame together so I can move them around the screen. And then I can also bring in my little discount element and move it all the way to the front. So as you can see, it doesn't look exactly the same as this one right now. I have Greg actually standing over some of the words, and that is what we are going to do right now. I'm just going to move the little shadow behind here. You don't need to put a shadow. I typically like to use shadows to bring something a little bit forward or send something a little bit more back in the page. It just creates a little bit of depth. So you want to, again, lock your little frame so that it doesn't grab your image again. So here is where the skill comes in, if I can call it that. So you're trying to actually generate the same size image with the second image as that is in the frame, which sometimes can be a little hard. So try and maybe use your little grid lines. So I can see it's right here at the 200 mark and right here just past the 1,400 mark. So I can resize it and try and get it as close as possible. So I'm just going to move this one to the 200 mark, and it was just a little bit below the page. And then I am going to resize it so that it's just past the 1,400 mark over there. And I mean, that is pretty close, I must say. And then I am actually going to position it to the front. And as you can see now, we're getting the same look where we have Greg in front of that little discount code. And now I can actually crop his legs to reveal a little bit of or to put him more inside the circle. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy over here. So sometimes you need to like crop a little bit more. And if your images are exactly the same size, then you should, it should be fine. So you guys get the idea. I'm not going to make it perfect right now because it does take a little bit of time to actually get it to a point where it works really, really well. But you have to ensure that your two images are exactly the same size. So sometimes it helps to actually size it the size of the whole canvas and then first get it all the right way you want it to look, and then grouping it together and then resizing it from there. Okay, so that's the little Greg inside the discount box. Okay, sometimes when you are doing something, you don't always have an image to use. So I wanted to show you guys how we actually created this little image without having this image of Greg to create this little video tutorial mock-up. So if you've maybe have a product, but you like, let's say it's a membership, you can take a screenshot of your membership and then just add it into Canva, and we can just resize it to any size that you want. So the easiest way to do that is to actually just drop it into your screen, double click on it, and start making it as big as you want. So I obviously want Greg over here, and I don't mind the little yellow on the sides. And I mean, that is that. So there we go. It's exactly the same thing. So don't feel dismayed if you don't have the exact image. You can definitely just use a screenshot and resize it very easily. And then this is just a little element in Canva, which if you go to the elements and you type in shadow and you go to graphics, you will find tons of different little shadow elements that you can actually use. So this one would be very similar to that. And if you see that a frame has maybe grabbed your element and you don't want it to grab, you can just release it and click undo, and it will actually leave it in the position that it was. So, and you can just resize your shadow until it fits really well, and then send it to the back. And there you have it. You have your little shadow mock-up of the video screen. Okay, and then there's 3 more left. This one was actually one of our Geek Out students, AG. I don't know if you guys know him, but we helped him out with his challenge funnel, which was super fun, and his branding, which I really loved. So he wanted to have a little backstage pass, and his brand was very playful, so we could get away with the little hand-drawn pass element over here. And what this was a typical screen with just a blank background, blank color background, and I locked it so that I couldn't edit it anymore. And then I just added his little logo. I added his image, which I just resized to be like fit into the screen. And then we had this little backstage pass element that I just turned a little bit. So you see, you could just turn it a little bit and made it look like it is actually lying on top of the screen. And then this is just a normal text element that I turned to the exact degrees that my element over here is. And I overlaid it onto there. So again, just some super, super simple things that you can do on Canva to make your offer stack images be a little bit different. Okay, so when it comes to a Facebook group mockup, there are a couple of different ways that you can do it. So if we look at some of the mockups we've done, we have over here, we have like a fitness image with just the Facebook icon, which is, as you can see, it's just a normal Canva element inside of an iPad. This one doesn't have a Facebook element. This one actually has a phone with like a tango image, and again just a little Facebook icon over it. So there are a few different ways. This one says Facebook group within like a little iPad, but for AG I wanted to actually create show his group so that if people search for it, when they see it, they could actually recognize the challenge group. And so when I was busy preparing for this, I was actually amazed at how close this looks to an actual Facebook screenshot, which you will be maybe shocked to hear, but it's not. It's all little elements that I've added on here to create the Facebook group mockup. So I just opened my phone, and this one shouldn't be there. opened my phone and looked at a group and just started adding some elements to create a little Facebook mockup. So I just wanted to show this one so that you guys could see that even if your group has 0 members, or you're still busy setting up your group, but you're building out your funnel, you can definitely create a little Facebook group mockup by doing it all inside of Canva without really having a screenshot of your group. Okay, and the last one I wanted to talk to you guys about was when it's like multiple screens of the same size. So, or not the same size, the same type of screen. So whether that is iPads or laptops or phones or books or whatever it is, a cool way to display them is to actually give them the illusion that one is in front of the others. So for this example, I'm just going to use the phone mockup that we have over here. And I have my little screenshots of the mockups that I want to use. And it basically starts with 3 phone frames. And if I put them one behind each other, because they're in a straight line, it doesn't give you the illusion of one being in front of the other one. So that is why over here, you'll see the front one is actually a bit bigger than the other 2. So that gives you that little bit of depth inside the page. So, and again, this is up to you, but I wouldn't make it too much bigger than the others. You still want it to look in proportion. So I think that is good to start with. And then basically what we do is we are just going to add in our little mockup into the screen. It's already to the back, so that's great. And then I'm just going to group this one so that I have it as a separate phone. And I'm going to do the exact same with this one. And let's send that one to the back and group it together so that I have a separate phone for that one. And then the last one, I'm just going to add in here. And I think it's already in the back. Yeah, okay. And I'm just going to group that. So now I basically have 3 separate phones with 3 separate mockups in. This phone element actually already has a little shadow at the bottom. I'm going to show you guys after this, just when you have a flat phone image or a flat iPad or a flat any device, how you can easily create this little shadow effect. Okay, so I'm going to put my biggest phone in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little squarish rectangular shadow. And I'm actually going to, let me just send it to the front so that we can see. I'm going to resize it to be a little bit bigger than my screen. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give the illusion that the phones are actually behind each other, right? So in a 3D type of style. So if I add my little rectangular shadow to the center of, and you can see the little dotted crosses, to the center of this phone, then I will be able to get that look. It might be a tad little bit too big, so I'm just going to resize it so that it is the right size. And again, shadows are personal preference, so it's totally up to you what you want to do. So I can now send that shadow backwards, and automatically you can see like the phone is a little bit more, has some more depth than it previously did. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this phone and I'm going to move it behind. And if you move it and it's actually on top of the bigger phone, you can just send it to the back and then you'll get this little effect that we have going on here. And so you see the little shadow looks kind of weird here, but once I actually add the phone to the back, I hope you guys can actually see what has happened. It has created a very soft little shadow onto this phone, which gives us that little 3D effect that we have going on over here. So just and the little shadows underneath the phones also give you that illusion of like a 3D effect. So that is how we created that little phone mockup. So you can use this for iPads or books or worksheets or anything that has the same style of device or mockup, and use it to create some depth onto your mockup. So what do? I'm actually going to show you on this little template that I'm going to drop into the membership area. When you have maybe a flat device, but you want to give it a little bit of depth. So the easiest way to do it is just to go to your elements, type in shadow, and under graphics, you can start playing around with different shadows. So I'm just going to grab a couple of them so that we can get a good idea of like what types of shadows we have going. So this one is like a flat circle. This one is also a flat circle, just maybe a little bit wider. Oopsie. This one is a line, which has a flat top, as you can see, which is the one I use the most for mockups. And then this one is a little bit more, it's also a flat circle, but it's a little bit more hazy than those two, which are kind of bright. So I'm just going to remove one because they're very similar. Okay, so what you can actually now do is you can size your shadow to be similar or maybe a little bit over the size of your device, and have a look at what that looks like. The shadow is on top of the iPad right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send it backwards, and then I get that effect. If you don't like that effect so much, you can definitely move your shadow upwards a little bit more, which I think gives a nicer effect, because a shadow would typically fall backwards if the light is shining from the front. And you still get that little nice 3D effect. If we put this one over the phone, you'll see you can, if you drop it down a little bit below the actual device, it almost looks like it's floating. So, I mean, you can definitely play around with that, like the phone is floating in the air, which is a little bit weird, but I mean, I think somebody could make it work if they wanted to. You could just resize it and space it, and there you go. So we have a little shadow over there. But my favorite one to use is actually this one for devices. I just like the way it looks. So I am actually going to scale it the size of my laptop, which there's the line, and just size it all the way here. And I can totally move it to the back and be happy with that. But it does give a little bit of a broad shadow. So you can move it a tiny ways up, and then you get a super, super soft little shadow that gives you just some depth. So just a couple of things to consider and play around with.